Yep, and welcome back. Well, didn't that week go quickly? So, as I mentioned, let's take this out, cover off, get the gearbox bits out, camshaft, all that sort of stuff, oil pump, and then we'll pull the bottom end out and split the cases. So, winter time, look, got my brown coat on. So let's get stuck into that. Right then. Speaking of winter, I've had to put the heating on. So let's get this split pin out first. Then that will come out. Oh, by the way, the sump here I dug in with a fine pointer, and I think it was just compacted muck because I was able to get this off. So that's one good thing. I suppose this is another one of those instances really where I should turn you off because it takes too long to take screws out. Let me do that. Right then, that's taken that out. Actually, you know, I think that's why some people with videos say they take so long over editing. It's because they would sort of like leave that running, the camera running, and then edit parts out. I always just switch you on and off as I'm doing stuff. It doesn't take me long to edit at all. Okay, I got the screws out. Don't forget there are two down here at the bottom. Because of this face, you think that that's the only ones, but there are two down at the bottom. So I'll break the seal. There we go. A little bit of alloy here just to help with that. There we go. That's worn a bit, I think it's sticking. There we are. Okay. So, as you can see, completely different type of oil pump because it drives off the end of this. You may remember the B25 oil pump actually bolts on like that, and the drive is vertical. It drives off this with a worm gear. There's the clamp I was telling you about that clamps this in place. So there's the distributor drive. Just put that to one side. Okie doke. Right, we'll pull all this out. Do another box of that. And then we'll take this off. See, there is a worm drive behind that, but it's driving that instead of driving the pump. Oh, come on. Oh. I see. This return spring, instead of just being on a pin, has actually got a nut holding it on. That size nut, in fact. There. God, all the nuts here are sort of, a lot of pressure you've got to put on to get them off. There it is. Again, the threads look beautiful. That'll come off these different spring. Cam plate. Looks to be in pretty good condition as well. Now, are these going to come out in one? What was that? A little catch mechanism. There we go. There. They all look very nice as well, so let me lay them to one side. It's always a lot easier if you can keep all the gears together, so you don't have to be fiddling around trying to put them. That real one that you possibly can't see, I can never remember whether it's first or fourth in the bearing there. That's alright. Okay, so that's that. It is. That will put in there, I think. There's our camshaft. Bad. Now these we'll take out and mark. So I'm going to take them out, keep them pointing forward, keep them inner and outer. Right, so next is that nut. Let me find something nice and big to, which way is this going to go? That's going to go that way. hold that. Right, I'm back. And a few things have happened since I spoke to you last. First of all, you nagged me into buying a new impact wrench. So I got a Bosch one, although of course it's not made in Germany, it's made in Taiwan. But I was going to get a DeWalt. And the thing about the DeWalt was the charger was $100 and the batteries were about $100 a piece. So although this has got the same spec, well, it's actually got a slightly better spec than the DeWalt. This one with the charger and everything was, I think, $160, and the DeWalt was going to be $350. Well, I don't use it that much, so you know my policy on tools. I thought this was fine. It was interesting actually. I bought it in what's a big hardware place here called Lowe's, and they sell wood and all that sort of stuff. Many years ago, you're gonna get an old story. Many years ago, I lived in Bolton in Lancashire for a little while. Ran a 4 boys news agents. You remember them? Con men they were. Anyway, I went in the hardware shop there to buy a new drill, and the old chap behind the counter, a little bit of the 4 candles thing for all of you who mentioned that, said to me, "Well, I don't sell that rubbish like Black & Decker. I only sell Metabo," which was a German make. And that was the best drill I've ever had. Well, they sell Metabo at Lowe's, but I did a little research. Metabo's now being bought out by, I think, a Japanese electrical company. Anyway, they were about a quarter the price of everything else, and you picked them up and they were really flimsy. I was disgusted. Anyway, I bought that. So we can now get this off. Also, I found out that the reason, which is really good news, the reason this sump was so much against there is, I haven't had a chance to look in a parts book, but I think there should be a spacer in here. Because I can get that in there. Now when that's in there, I put a level up there, that's horizontal. This is slightly out because there's muck on it. And that is vertical. So that's the way it should be. Now the B25s and that have a spacer in up here and there to help you get the engine out. So I'm presuming there should be a little spacer in there, but as there wasn't, it was pulled up against this side. Now that's good news, because to get all this off, I've got to take the oil pump off and the drive. And there are actually 4 holes drilled right through here to get at the 4 bolts. I'm hoping they're 4 screws. So in order to get at those 4, I had to be able to get the sump plate off. So I was thinking I'd have to take the engine out to do that, but now I can keep working it in there because I can get at that plate. So let's see if we can take this off. Do you know what? I think I'm going to have another little go at this lock washer, because some of it seems to be jammed onto there. So let me just work on that a bit. Right, I've chiseled it all off, I think. I've also got a piece of, I don't know, it's 1/2 inch round alloy through the small end eye to hold it. So let's see what happens with this nut. Oh, that was better. Wasn't it? It actually screws back on. The other side, the clutch nut doesn't want to go back on. So I've got to look at them. But that does, that's fine. Hey. Where shall we put that? With valve bottom gear. Alright. Let's get the sump off and get this oil pump off. Now then, I've got the sump off, which you'll see has a sloping bottom. Goes on like that, and inside there is a screen and a hole for the pickup to go through. Now, unfortunately, of all the BSA parts books and manuals and everything I've got, I do not have one for this early C15. I have one for the later F and Gs, which had the points on the end of the camshaft, and the different arrangement in here, more like the B25. So anyway, I did find a service sheet, and there are apparently 3 screws that hold this on. So as I mentioned, there are holes drilled to get at them. Oh, well, I guess they're pretty well oiled, aren't they? They should come out well enough. So there's one. No, the holes don't line up very well. Let's see if I slacken them off, if we can joggle it a bit. I did actually ease the holes a little bit because it looked as if they didn't quite line up. So if you're spotting a few little bits of aluminium swarf, that's because of that. And then there's one at the back, there it is, which you just get through the sump hole. Come on. There we go. Oh, that one's good as well. Alright, now that moves about a bit, so we can get that. I'll probably, because of the way it moves, I probably didn't need to ease them out, but no harm done. There we go, there's one. Screwed all the way. Yes, it has. There's 2. That'll hold it about there as if this screw is bent. There's the 3rd one. Now I presume this comes down low enough to come off the drive, and then it's another one of these, just enough room to get it in and out. Do they have to make these things to be such an exact bloody fit? Might be here for the rest of the day trying to get this out. Let's put it back in the way. Oh, we can go back in now, of course. Oh, isn't this ridiculous? Come on, C15 fellas, I bet there's a little knack to this, isn't there? Well, I'm not going to keep you watching me fiddling around, so let me just knock you off for a bit. Well, that was one of those jobs where I'd basically given up, and then I just did that and out it came. So it's probably going to be a bugger to get back in. Anyway, now I think we drive that out upwards let me get a smaller piece of alloy. Right, well, couldn't find a piece of alloy that would go up in the hole, but we're only going to tap this out, so. There she comes. Right. Oh, you can't see the top of this, can you? There's a brass collar in here. Well, it's a brass bush for it to run in. So there's the brass bush. And it isn't quite long enough. Right, that's the brush here, that might prove to be a bit longer. Yeah, there we go. And there, out that comes. There's a little wear, but not much. I think that'll be fine. Now then, the reason you've got to get all that out is to get the puller in here. Now I don't have the actual puller, and the one I normally use, which has these arms on it, because they go behind there, they're not going to go in. Ooh. So we're going to look at this a bit more. Now then, I've been working on these, taking a little bit more off. I can't take too much off here or it's going to weaken the actual pulling lip. But what I was able to do was just, with a hacksaw, take a very slight bit off that, so that now this goes round. Actually, the other one, I must take more off the other one, hang on. And this will now slide round enough, I think. There we go. To get these on opposite each other. So, hopefully we can now here it comes. Pull that off. Well, now then, but how do you pull that off? Can we get this on that as well? See, I don't see it'll go onto them because of course they're at an angle. They're quite nice as well. Alright, let's have a look. Can we pull that off with this? I doubt it. How are you supposed to get that off? That's not turned onto the end. That's not actually turned on the crank, is it? No. Because it's on the key. So that must pull off as well. I don't see that getting a grip of it. No. Nope, that's not going to go on there. So how do we pull this off? Let me think about this. Well, to get the one off on the B25, according to the book, you use that multi-leg puller that would have pulled the pinion off with a different pair of legs. I guess the ends must be made to fit into that. But I'm thinking what I will do is we'll take the bottom end out of the frame and we'll split the crankcases. We'll pull that side off, and then once we've pulled that side off we can lay this like that and press that out, because it's only tapped back on when we've finished. So we'll do that. Right, well, let's do some more. Now, I was thinking about this worm drive here and getting it off, and a lot of the British workshop manuals, particularly the BSA ones, for those who don't know them, at the back they would have diagrams of all the specialist tools. See? So they had a picture of the puller for getting this off, so I looked at it and I thought, well, I don't think anything very special. Maybe I could make one of them. So the other day I came out, I wasn't planning to do much in the workshop, but I came out and I made this. So this has got, it's a couple of hard, they're actually metric bolts, milled so they have a little foot on. Now I suppose really, although you can't see it in the drawing, they should be at an angle to fit into there, but I can just get into the back with these. So let me pull you in a bit and we'll see if this will work. Right, here goes. I've got two nuts on so that they don't wobble about too much. So what we're going to try and do is get it onto the start of one thread. And of course, remember, this isn't on that tightly. To begin with. So hopefully there we go. Oh yes. All right. That's better than trying to get it off the way I was going to do it. Get right underneath the bottom now, seeing as I've run out of, I just used what was to hand, so I can always get a longer bolt for the extraction part. Now they'll go right behind. There we go. There's that off. Take the key out, put that in a box. Right then, now I can take the engine out. And then what I'm going to do is just clean this crap off. There's one bolt. and then we'll see about splitting the cases and find out which conrod this is and what we need to do. Alright, let's see how easily this comes out. Why do these things never come out as easily as they should? Where's that catching? Must be just tight in that rear mounting. All right. Oh, it's dropped out of that mounting now. There we go. Okay, let me take it over there out of the way and wire brush all this crap off. Now I've given it a clean off, so now we've got to take out the 5 bolts and then we can get that off there. But first we've got to take this oil seal out. Now I've been looking at some of the comments and one person mentioned, oh, the oil seal's on the wrong way because the oil seal's there to stop chain case oil getting into the engine. Now, I've heard people say that before, but I'll be honest with you, I've never taken an engine apart when it was that way around. Plus, don't forget, how can you see? Yeah, the actual oil in the chain case is right down here. If you have a chain case that's got a drain plug on, you'll see it's right at the side here. You only put enough oil in so that the clutch wheel is dipping in it to lubricate the chain. So there's virtually no oil in here. And for instance there, look, there's the hole that the wires go out. Chain cases generally don't get pressurized, but inside the engine you've got crankcase pressure and you've got an oil mist. So they're there to keep that in where you want it so that you're not losing engine oil, filling this up and lowering the engine oil level. So anyway, this one feels as hard as anything. See if we can get it out. There's a spacer in here as well. I don't know if I can get that spacer out first. Ah, there, that coming out now. There we go. So there's that out. And then we have our spacing piece out. And there's our bearing. So, oh, I'm getting dirty. Since I bought this, I might as well use it. Oh. And look at that, it actually works. Oh dear, maybe I should have bought one of these before. Let's adjust it. I've got it on the lowest level there. Ooh. Who tightened the bolts up on this thing? Good grief. Somebody put them in hard. Alright, now we're going to warm this up, but when I was out making that other puller, I made up a crankcase puller. So we're going to use that as well as some heat. Now one of these bolts actually is slightly bent, because see, that goes on perfectly that way, but not the other way. So for those of you who haven't seen these, the way they work is this is bolted tight to this half of the crankcase. Then when you screw the extractor bolt in, because you can't push that way, it pulls this up and therefore pulls the case off the bearing. Now putting it back on isn't a problem because we can heat the case up and it'll just go on with a little tap with a rubber hammer. So let me get the torch, the propane torch, well it's map actually, and we'll warm this up just to ease the process. So what I'll do is I'll warm it up slowly and then I'll switch you back on. Alright, yes, I spotted him. That would have been fun, wouldn't it? I was looking at them and thinking, wait a minute, doesn't seem right, there must be more than that. For some reason the number 5 was sticking in my mind. Alright, that's them. Yeah, we're okay. Right, let's give it a go. There we are. Now, hang on. Just went and got a pair of gloves because, of course, this is a bit warm. Come on now. This is just on the studs. There we go. And actually it pulled it off the crank. Either way, doesn't matter, one's as good as the other. Now then, there should be a number on that. And this of course is just in a bush on this side. So we've got to check that bush and that doesn't look bad. Alright, now we can give that all a proper clean up. Check this bearing and see, I can heat this up to get that bearing out and I can heat the other case up. You can't just put this in the oven. Well, you could if you had a big enough oven, but it would be a problem. Whereas with that one, if I need to replace, oh, there's a shim on. There's a shim on there, so we have to make sure we keep that. What was I saying? Oh yeah, whereas this side only has the main bearing in it, so we can heat that up to get it out if the bearing's not brilliant. And once we've got the bearing out, we can put it on the crankshaft and then heat the case up and drop the case on. It makes it all so much easier. Alright, let me clean this conrod up and see what number I can see on it. Now, you're not going to really see any movement here, but I'm hoping you can hear it. Oh, there's a truck. There's a lorry coming. There it goes. Now, that's not side to side, that's in and out. So that's completely shot. So now we've got to press this apart. There's a number on here, I can only see 2 digits, 48. Depending on what that number is, depends which conrod it is, in terms of what size the big end eye is and whether it has a bearing. But looking in there, I think this is the original conrod with the metal bush. So let's see about getting this in the press and getting that out. So here we are, set up in the press. Got some nice thick bars under this flywheel. We're going to press the pin and this flywheel downwards, so it'll come out of this one, and then we can turn it over and press it the other way. So let me just make sure everything is centered. And by the way, if you've never done this or never seen it done, it doesn't just press out. You'll get a lot of pressure on it, and then there's generally a big bang which frightens the living daylights out of you, and it starts to move, and then press out. I'm not sure about this hydraulic jack either. I might have to go to steam shops to use his bigger one. God. I hate doing these. I don't know whether this is putting any pressure on this or it's just at the limit of the jack. Jack doesn't seem to be going down anymore. I don't think I've got enough pressure in this jack. So it's a trip to steam shops. Alright, so I tell you what, till I can go to steam shops, let me go and do the cylinder head, and that's probably going to be it for this week, and we'll finish all this off next week. I'm going to have a look at the head now, and I've done this a number of times, but since it only takes a couple of minutes, I'll just show you again taking a valve out. Now, you can make yourself a head holding tool just like this. This is a piece of handlebar with a spark plug welded into it, and you screw it into the spark plug hole and then grip that in the vise if you want to. Okay, the other thing you need is a valve spring compressor and a hammer. Now if you've got a valve spring compressor like this, where you can fit this part on either end, fit it on the fixed end, because if you fit it on this end, then you're going to be moving it as you tighten it in, and it'll start to slide around on the valve head. Okay, so we put this on so that the cup part sits on the valve. Tighten the other end up, not too much, to get it seated. Get this so that you're going to be able to get at the collets. Put some pressure on. Now sometimes they'll just come straight away. If they've been in there for a long time, they'll be stuck, and what you do then is just give the head a sharp tap, and that breaks the joint. And that goes in, and as it screws in, you can get the collets out. I forgot to get my little pick. Now you can get them out with a pick, or you can get them out with a magnet. There's one. There's the other one. Slacken off to release the pressure on the valve spring. And then out it comes. There's your valve with its top hat on. Or valve spring, sorry. Inner spring, outer spring. And at the bottom, because these are alloy heads, you'll generally find there's a bottom seat also for the spring to go on. And then the valve will come out. Let me open the shot up a little bit. And you've got your valve out, you can examine it for wear, look to the spec and measure the diameter of the valve stem. Take any oil off so it doesn't take up any space in the valve guide, and then just see if it'll rock. And that rocks, yeah, enough to make a click. So we'll have to do something about the guides or the valves. I'll measure the valves and see if they're up to spec. So let me take the rest of this together. The other thing to do is keep everything for each valve together. If you're just going to regrind them and put them back in, keep the collets, the valve, the springs, everything together. Now, I haven't been able to get to Dave's, so that's all for this week. I did bead blast ahead, get that all ready. And also the number on the conrod was 48, which from, what's his name? Rupert Ratio's book. You should get this if you're working on BSA singles. You should get this because not only does it have a lot of information, not as much as a full workshop manual, but he talks about the relationship between the different models. So if you want to know what will fit from one to another, he often mentions it in that. Anyway, a number 48 conrod is the very original conrod with the bushing in. And Alpha made a replacement bearing, a needle bearing, because, you know, obviously the bushing isn't that thick, so you couldn't put a big roller bearing in there. You'd need a later conrod with the big end eye. But I went online and I found a couple of places that actually had one of those bearings, because Alpha aren't in business anymore, I gather. Expensive, but it would be a direct replacement. I could just, when we get it pressed out, take that bush out and put the new crank, the bearing comes with a crank pin, put the new crank pin in and bearing, and we'd be done. So I'm going to order one of them. So in that respect, there's no great rush to press the crank pin out because I don't have the bearing to put in it. So as I say, we'll knock off for this week. Next week we'll get all the engine cases done and stuff like that. So I find I'm looking up a bit because the camera's up there if I look strange. So anyway, until next week, stay safe and enjoy yourselves.